You know, it's not often you can point to the exact moment a whole movement shifts into a higher gear. But right at the start of 2026, over just 48 hours, something big happened for animal welfare. It wasn't just one law or one company's decision, it was a sudden, powerful wave of change that literally swept across the planet. So let's dive into what happened. Okay, so check this out. It all kicks off on January 2nd. Out of nowhere, it seems, Florida flips the switch on a new law targeting animal abusers. On the same day, the UK rolls out a huge new welfare plan, and two of the world's biggest shoe companies make a game-changing announcement. By that night, new rules for flying with pets are released. And all of this is going on while California's own new laws are starting to make headlines. The crazy part? None of this was planned together. It just happened, creating this incredible, undeniable momentum. So let's zoom in a bit. We'll start right here in the United States, where two states on opposite ends of the country made these major moves to protect pets right where they live. Now, to really get why one of these laws is such a big deal, we gotta talk about something pretty awful: puppy mills. I think we all know what they are, right? These are basically dog breeding factories where profit is the only thing that matters, way more than the health or happiness of the animals. It's a pipeline of cruelty that's been going on for way too long. And this is where it gets really smart. You have California and Florida tackling the problem from completely different but totally complementary directions. It's almost like a pincer movement. California's law goes straight to the source. It bans pet brokers to just cut the supply chain from puppy mills right off. Florida, on the other hand, with Dexter's law, is focused on stopping repeat offenders. They created a public list of convicted abusers, so shelters know exactly who they're dealing with. So one hits the supply, the other hits the demand from the worst people. So you see? Two totally different playbooks, but the end goal is exactly the same: build stronger legal walls to protect animals, both by shutting down cruelty at the source and making sure abusers don't get a second chance. But this whole story wasn't just happening in the US. Not even close. That circle of protection was getting a whole lot bigger, and it was going global. And I mean, at the exact same time, two other huge pieces of the puzzle just snapped right into place. Over in the UK, they launched a new strategy using electronic tracking to fight illegal pet sales and that horrible trend of people abandoning pets after the holidays. And then, on the world stage, the International Air Transport Association, you know them as IATA, rolled out brand new safety standards for any pet flying on a plane. And this isn't just about paperwork. This is about raising the bar for every airline, everywhere. We're talking about real practical stuff, like more breathing room for pets in the cabin, stronger travel crates, and even new ways to monitor an animal's emotional stress during a flight. But the most important thing? It creates one single, high standard for all international travel. No more dangerous gaps between countries. Okay, so we've got new laws on the books and new global regulations. You might think that's the whole story, right? Well, not even close, because the private sector was about to add its voice, and it was a loud one. So you have to ask, was all this change just coming from the top down? Was it just a bunch of governments and regulators making new rules? Absolutely not. Because on that very same day, January 2nd, two of the biggest names you can think of in sportswear, Adidas and New Balance, dropped a bombshell. They officially announced they were ending all use of kangaroo leather. Done. Finished. This was just a massive win for advocacy groups who had been fighting for this for years. And that decision sent shockwaves through supply chains, forcing them to look for better, more humane materials. It affected everything from soccer cleats to certain pet foods. It was just undeniable proof that consumer pressure can and absolutely does work. All right, let's step back for a second. When you put all of these pieces together, the state laws, the global standards, the corporate action, all happening in the same 48-hour window, what does it all really mean? What's the big picture here? Well, a few things become really clear. First, this was an attack on cruelty from all fronts: legal, global, and corporate, all at once. Second, there was a huge focus on prevention, on stopping the bad stuff before it even happens. We also saw that the global bar for animal safety is just getting higher. And maybe the biggest takeaway of all, it showed that consumer pressure works. When people demand change, big companies do listen. It is just so rare to see progress happen this fast, right in front of your eyes. That 2-day period at the start of 2026 really felt like it set a whole new pace for change. And it leaves us with a pretty powerful question, right? If this is what can happen in just 48 hours, what kind of world are we going to build for animals over the next 10 years?